Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Justin, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, by the way, on that mic, just keep it nice and close, real close. Yeah, and it moves around, so.
Awesome.
So we met at our CrossFit gym, but I haven't seen you there in a while.
Yeah.
And we were just saying when you walked in here why you've not been around much, but then we missed it. So have you been working out somewhere else, or you dropped on a CrossFit, or what's going on?
No, I'm still doing it. When everything shut down, it was around the same time I moved out to Hermitage. I'm like right on the Hermitage, Mount Juliet border there.
Yep.
And all the gyms were closed for a while, and I was doing home workouts and stuff. And then there's a gym that's like 5 minutes from me down this like beautiful little country road.
Okay,
and
nice.
It was just a little easier to get to and from, especially with everything going on. So instead of driving, 30 minutes into town to work out, it's right there. So
is it a
great
CrossFit
place.
Gym or no?
Yeah, it's CrossFit.
Oh yeah,
It's
one?
Mount Juliet CrossFit.
CrossFit Mount Juliet? Yeah. I used to go there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, cool. That was the very first CrossFit gym that I was ever a part of. We lived just across town in Mount Juliet, and it's I had about 20 minutes there. Weirdly enough, Mount Juliet's like very long north and south, so if you live in like one part of Mount Juliet, it can take you 30 minutes to get to the other side of Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
Particularly when they put in Providence and traffic got bad and everything. So that was the very first CrossFit gym I was part of, and then a new gym opened up much closer to my house, CrossFit B&A. Started going there.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then switched to Forte because it's closer, and I just like the gym and everything. It works good. So you're CrossFit Mount Juliet.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it's a great gym too, and everybody over there is nice. And
yeah,
I went to Forte
a
for many years just because I lived like 5 minutes from there too.
Yep.
So it was really convenient, and did a little bit of coaching there and stuff too. But
you coached at Forte?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Really?
It was mostly last year.
Oh wow! I don't think I was there any of the classes that you coached.
Yeah, I usually did the later classes. It's like 5:30, 6, that kind of stuff, and it was fun. It I'm not a patient person. I'm not figured it out. It was not for me. Trying to tell people how to do that stuff.
So were you coaching because it was like free membership, or was Evan paying you, or how does that work? Okay.
I mean, I've had many different weird jobs over the years, and random stuff always kind of finds me, and I guess like I'm a searcher or something, I guess.
Sure.
So I thought it'd be something cool to do. We weren't traveling as much last year.
Okay.
And I'd got my L1 like before that, and was like, man, might be fun.
Nice.
Might be something that I really loved, and I don't have the patience for it.
Really? Okay. So I think I've thought of it as well, but the time that it would take to kind of learn how to coach, because I feel like I care a lot about the moving correctly for myself. Like I'm not one of those guys where I'm going to run in there and do movements wrong with bad form and hurt myself too quickly. Like I tend to try to take care to have good form, but I just don't know the movements nearly well enough to like teach other people how to have good form. You know what I mean? So
I get that. I mean, I've been doing that for 5 years. Been doing CrossFit stuff for 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe longer. I've kind of lost track of it, and it's something that I thought, like, since I know it in my head, I could translate that to other people, and I think that's like a whole other separate skill of being able to
it is
demonstrate, teach, and anything. Like
What's interesting about that is, you're very conversant in everything, and it didn't sound like the coaching was like right up your alley. Evan Beach, the owner of Forte, he's just sort of like a no-nonsense guy. Like, I mean, he's conversant too, but he's not going to chat. Like, he's not just a chit-chatty type of guy, but a very good coach. Because he's very down-to-earth, no bull. Here's how you do it. I mean, he's having a good day most days.
He's like an expert in his field.
He is. Yeah.
And I think starting out, especially like where I was with it, I still like, even though I knew how to do it, I was constantly second guessing myself mentally.
Okay.
And I think that was a big part of it too, because like whenever he says something, he knows it for a fact.
Right.
Like, there's no question. He's done all the courses. He's been certified in every damn thing he can be certified in. And so whenever he speaks, I think there's a lot more confidence.
Yes.
So I think it'd be the difference, like if he was trying to teach somebody how to play guitar or something.
Exactly.
So I think it's not necessarily expert in your field and everything, but just having the confidence in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big thing too.
I totally agree. Did you overlap with Micah at all in the gym? Yeah. Micah Carpenter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a good coach too. I like him.
Yeah,
Braden's good.
I mean, he came from a college sports background.
He did.
Too,
yeah. I think he played baseball in college.
You see a huge difference in people like because I was just, I never played sports in school. I stopped playing in like middle school.
Oh yeah.
And got into music, and you see the difference in the people that went all through like they're early school, high school, college, doing sports. They just have a different idea of it because they're constantly immersed in it.
Yes.
So I think that makes a big difference, especially going into a fitness field where you know.
I agree.
It's something that he's just extremely natural at doing because he's done it so long. And
I totally agree. And some people are just naturally athletic.
Yeah.
Some people just have that athleticism about them, and they're just naturals. One thing I've noticed is the people that I know that are left-handed, they tend to be the people I know, they're very athletic.
Interesting.
I mean, so I've been curious to know for some time if there's an actual correlation between left-handed people and athleticism. Now, Mike is not, but I mean, he's just a natural. Well, I don't know if he is or not. Actually, I don't know either way. But he's just a natural athlete. But I've been curious if like left-handedness, if you're left-handed, if you're more naturally athletic. But I have no idea.
Maybe there's something to do with that side of your brain.
Maybe, yeah, it could be. Yeah, tattoos. Where'd you get those? They're very nice.
I've gotten them all over the place.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get a significant amount of them in Nashville?
No, I've gotten one in Nashville.
Okay.
Many years ago, and it was in a recording studio. It was not at a tattoo shop. It was just
you got a tattoo in a recording studio?
Yeah, I've gotten them in all sorts of weird places. But
someone comes in with some ink and starts penning you up, or what? How does that work?
I mean, like, some people frown upon it for obvious reasons, and some people, you can make pretty much anything mobile.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So they're mobile tattooists. I mean, it's
they're
legit.
bringing. Yeah, it's not anything weird. Like they're bringing their whole rig set up, and it's still safe and hygienic. It's just different. It's like I'm in a hotel room.
What do you have on the left side? It's real nice.
Yeah, this was actually in a tattoo shop.
Okay.
This was back home many years ago. My buddy Darren White did this one, and
Darren White.
He's based down in Georgia now, I think.
Okay. All right.
But awesome tattooer.
Okay.
And he paints, he does everything.
Oh, okay.
And he did that many years ago, and then whenever we did a tour in Okinawa, probably 6 years ago, I got this part added to it with
great color, man.
The different stuff on there.
Did the red fade a little bit, or was it penned in like that to begin with?
That was another older one. That was in a studio. And,
okay.
It's lasted a good bit.
Because I like that color with mostly black and gray with a little bit of muted reds and stuff and greens.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the black and gray stuff.
Me too.
It lasts. I got another big piece up here. But, yeah, that was in Okinawa. And
it's great. Stuff. They look great, man.
Thank you.
So,
filled up and
you got plans for more, or are you good for now?
I've always got plans for more, but I've always kind of...
It's a lifestyle, huh?
Yeah, I'm just kind of taking my time with it. It's,
okay.
My next one I want right through here.
Okay.
Kind of commemorating some solo career stuff that I'm started a while back. And my friend Bubba Irwin, I want him to do it. So he's a great tattoo artist, and he was on TV shows and all sorts of stuff. But
commemorating some like milestones in your solo career.
Yeah. Just kind of personal stuff that I'm proud of, and but I just take my time with it. I've never been like one of those people who's like sleeved out when they were 25 because they knew somebody. So all the stuff I've got has just been over time, and I've got some stuff that like is meaningful and some stuff that's just like that was a weird night and I ended up with a tattoo.
But you do, with what I'm seeing anyway, it all looks good. Because sometimes the meaningful stuff doesn't look as good. Yeah. And sometimes it just looking good stuff, it looks great, but it looks to me like you have a good mix. I only have a couple, but that's what I'm going for too, is that mix between looking good and meaningful. So,
I think by the way, find some stuff that once you figure out what looks good, I think a lot of people are just like, oh, this is cool, man. It was only $50. And you end up with some dog shit tattoos you end up spending $1,000 to get covered up once you figure out that there's a difference, and you kind of get what you pay for with that stuff.
Yeah, you really do, for sure. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to wear my cowboy hat. Yeah, it's been some time. So I've had it in this drawer over here because I had it hanging in here, and then I just put it in the drawer. And so this hat, I don't even know the brand. This is a very old hat. It was not an expensive hat. It's not a Stetson or anything, but I got this when I was probably 13 or 14. And so my mom finally let us get horses when I turned 13. And I grew up without a dad. He passed away when I was 10. And so literally throughout my teen years, I was on the horse every afternoon. It was like horses kept me sane in my teen years. And this was the hat I wore, and it was like, man, it was like such a part of my life. And then we got out of horses about the time I got married, like low 20s, and haven't had horses since. And I still have the hat, thankfully. I still have the saddle. And it's still in the blood, man. A couple of weeks ago, we started watching the TV show Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, someday,
best show on TV.
It really is. Someday I want to own a ranch. I don't care if it's not very big. I just want a little ranch somewhere, and I want horses again someday because there's something about horses. So being able to wear the cowboy hat this afternoon when I knew you were coming on the podcast, like it's made my day, man.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thanks for the permission to wear the cowboy hat again.
I'm glad that passed along.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So what are some of those milestones? If you would have some of those milestones tattooed on your solo career, because, I mean, obviously you're an accomplished bass player with Three Doors Down. Not everyone gets that gig. So we need to talk about that for sure. But is it in more recent years you've kind of gotten into your solo path, which I've heard some of your songs, by the way. I've heard all the singles that I could find on Sonos. I've heard them before, too. All very good. I like your music, man.
I appreciate it.
It's really good.
A lot of it's just this part, like there's a cattle skull thing I've been using on my T-shirts, and that was like the first time I ever had anything that was just my solo stuff. So I think that was one of the big things I kind of want to commemorate is just stepping out and doing that on my own and having people enjoy it and stuff and get behind it. So that's a big one. And then got all sorts of other stuff kind of coming up and working on different things.
Has music been a passion of yours since you can remember, or when did that start for you?
I've been playing guitar since I was probably 11, I think.
Okay.
And 35 now.
I'm 36. I just turned 36. I didn't realize we're that close in age.
Yeah. We grew up with a lot of music in the house. And
you have siblings?
Yeah, I got a sister.
Okay.
She's 2 years younger than me.
Oh, okay. So just the two of you?
Yeah.
And you were the oldest?
Yep.
In North Carolina, right?
Yep.
What part of North Carolina?
Western North Carolina, up in the mountains, outside of Asheville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Pretty
Not too
area.
far from here. Yeah.
Yeah. Like how close to Asheville?
Probably about 30 minutes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah. It's real pretty out there.
Yep. So you grew up in North Carolina. Were your parents musicians?
They weren't musicians, but my mom played guitar a little bit, which is kind of what got me into, because she had this old Ovation acoustic that she played for years back in the 70s. But they were both, and my dad, great singer. He always wanted to be a country singer. And,
oh, yeah?
Yeah. And he was always singing. We always had music on. Mom was more into rock. Dad was into country.
Okay.
And
what would your dad sing? Like he would sing country. He just wasn't making a living doing it, or would he sing gospel or something? Or
he would just sing whenever he was drinking and hanging out at the house and stuff. So he would sing for people, but he never really wanted to like get out on stage. I think it was more raising the family at that point. Like my parents came down they started in Tennessee. They both met up in Detroit.
Okay.
And this was like the early 80s, I guess. They moved to Tennessee. We had all the family on my mom's side was still down here, except for her mom and dad. My grandparents, they were in Michigan. So the whole family pretty much was from North Carolina, moved to Michigan looking for work.
I see.
And then mom and dad came down. And the plan was to get down to like Tennessee, North Carolina for a little bit, and then they were going to go to Nashville. And they had me. So
and then they stayed in North Carolina?
Yeah.
What was going to bring him to Nashville? Music?
Dad. He was going to try to do some singing.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they had you and stayed?
Yeah.
Wow. So your dad made some self-sacrifices for the family.
Yeah. And they always did.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, every parent does. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they had me and just stayed in North Carolina and had my sister.
And so now you're making it like you're in it, like you're doing music. This is what you do, and you're good at it. Like that must be really satisfying for your dad.
Yeah, they love it.
You have a good relationship with your parents?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're both still alive. They're both still married.
Yeah.
They're still in North Carolina.
Yep. Okay. Do they come to Nashville some and see you?
They have not in a while. They both work pretty hard, so they just haven't come over in a while. But I get to go see them quite a bit.
Yep. Is your dad? Does he communicate? Like, does he tell you like he's proud of you?
Oh yeah.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
He'll tell that to your face.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's they especially. I mean, they were proud when I was doing like my old bands, kicking around, playing in town, and going on tours. And then once I got in Three Doors, all of a sudden it was like, whoa, this is real deal. Like he's not joking. And
for sure.
Around that same time, I'd moved out here, and so they knew I was serious about it. It wasn't just messing around, getting drunk in bars.
Right.
There was like a serious drive for it. So once I was in like a professional band, they were proud before, but then it was like, whoa, all right. Like he's actually taking it serious and doing it. So,
it's legit, man.
Yep.
So guitar at 11, and then what other, because I know you play bass now, so I'm assuming, I know you play at least 2 instruments. Where did you go from there?
Mostly focused on guitar. That's kind of what I was passionate about, was playing guitar. And
should have had to bring your guitar.
Yeah, should have.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
I didn't even think to. Jumped in the truck and came over. But yeah, I think around 14, maybe. I started playing at church, and that was a big thing. Like around that time, late 90s, early 2000s, when all there was like that big push of like Christian rock bands were coming around, like Third Day, Jars of Clay, DC Talk, all that stuff.
Yeah, that was late 90s.
Yeah.
That was in my high school years.
Yeah. So it was like my late middle school, early high school years was all that stuff was pretty prominent. And I was going to a Baptist church back home that like the youth group really pushed that stuff. So
really?
Yeah. So whenever we do music on Sundays and Wednesdays and Tuesdays, and like we're at church all the time.
Okay.
It was that kind of stuff. It wasn't like old hymns. It was, the band was rocking, which was kind of like, I think that was the big introduction for me taking music seriously, was going and playing, because they'd just kind of outsource whoever was in the youth group at the time to play.
Yep.
So that got me going with bands, I think, really early.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I was just like always making a band in high school or something.
Wow.
Playing battle the bands or doing whatever. So that was a big push there for the music side of it.
Do you know what a power chord is on a guitar?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. That's all I know.
That's all you need to know.
There was that one DC Talk song. So I had a guitar as a kid too. I'd always wanted to like learn the guitar. I'm not a musician. My mom made us take piano lessons, and I always hated it. And she just thought her reason for making us take piano lessons was actually so that we would learn how to read music and we would sing. So we grew up in church also, but we went to a Mennonite church who was a cappella. We had no piano, no organ, no instruments or drums or anything. But it was like 4-part harmony. And all I ever like could sing was bass. Like I couldn't really sing tenor; it was too high and all that. But so she made us take piano lessons, and then finally she let me take some guitar lessons. So I did, and like I never like made it past very much the beginner stage, but I learned. Buddy taught me power chords on that one DC Talk song. It's like dum 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 dum. I can't remember the name of the song right now. Well, that's all I remember is like I had those 3 or 4 power chords, and still occasionally if I go grab the guitar, I can still remember the power chords. It doesn't sound very good, but it's like, oh, if you would hear it, it's like, yeah, that's that DC Talk song from back in the day.
Well, that stuff will come back. Like
And I also remember about DC Talk. It's so funny that you were kind of in that world too, because I remember a DC Talk album on a cassette tape in our tan Ford Ranger, driving home, and someone had snuck the tape because we weren't really supposed to have that kind of music. I mean, sort of were, sort of weren't. Like it was kind of frowned upon, but kind of okay. It was just kind of right on that gray area. And a friend had snuck us that DC Talk tape, and I just remember playing it like nonstop to and from school when I was like 16 or 17. DC Talk, man, Jesus freak back in the day.
That was the big one. That was that big push too around them, where obviously like there was secular music going on, and there were the Christian bands that were like approved by like the Lifeway or Christian church stuff. So there was always like, if you love Nirvana, you'll love Jars of Clay or something. So
I remember that exact same storyline.
So like that same time too, like we were listening to that stuff and it's great. There's still like cool things about it, but we go on church trips or something, and I was buying like Stone Temple Pilots records. And, like having to hide them and stuff. So it was an interesting time.
Yeah.
Deftones, I was really into Deftones when they came out, like the real heavy stuff. And got a very interesting mix of music through high school.
Audio Adrenaline was back then too, right? Yeah. Jars of Clay. I mean, Jars of Clay had some good songs, honestly.
Yeah, they had some great songs. There's a bunch of like kind of punk rock and ska bands that came out. Like, I was in a bunch of ska bands, like the Full Horn section and everything.
Okay,
which was fun. There was a bunch of like Christian-based bands like that were coming out, which was
that was the heyday for that type of thing.
Yeah,
but that's sort of cooled off, hasn't it? Andrew, you're what, mid-20s?
Late 20s, actually.
Late 20s. 20 what?
29.
Okay. Oh.
No, 28. I'm forgetting my own age. Live on air.
Were you in on the DC Talk days and all that? You would have been a touch younger.
Big time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those were the days, man. So at this point, you're playing guitar. You're singing.
Yep.
And were you doing any other instruments in these church bands?
Every now and then I'd play bass. Because it was like really simple stuff, and it'd be like, hey, we don't have anybody to play this week, and you play. It'd be like, all right, I'll try it. So it was very not what I do now, but kind of taking a stab at it just because they needed somebody for different
Did you get
days.
lessons, or does a friend teach you, or
not
how'd
on
you
bass?
learn it?
Like that was just it was kind of guitar. I had on guitar. I did lessons for a little bit. One. I can't even remember what year it was, but probably about 6 weeks of lessons. They were a little too expensive for us at the time. So got some good basic stuff from a guy back home named Mike Barnes, and he's played with a bunch of people in town. He's like a kind of well-known guitar player, especially there, and played with Warren Haynes a bunch. And pretty sure he still teaches, I think. But yeah, I did a couple lessons with him early on, which kind of got me that basic setup. But
this is for guitar, not
for
bass.
Guitar, yeah.
I see.
Yep. And then the rest came from playing in church, playing with other people in high school and stuff, and kind of learning from playing with other people.
Yeah.
And the bass was just like, hey, this is. At the time, they were like, "This is like guitar. Just play the one note." And I was like, "All right, cool, I can do that." So I had enough information to kind of pick it up and mess with it, which is kind of how the Three Doors thing started too. Many years later, I had enough to kind of pick it up and get started, and it's been a learning process ever since.
So what's interesting about that is you had 6 weeks of lessons. I had 6 weeks of guitar lessons, easy. I probably had more than that. And I just never went, like when I say I never went anywhere with guitar, it is what it sounds like. It's not good. So do you think it's in the blood or in your blood, or do you just think that you had that drive, you had enough of talent, but also that inner drive that you would just play around with the guitar and toy around with it? And I guess back then you wouldn't even watch YouTube videos, right? I mean,
no,
it wasn't really a thing. There was no YouTube. Did you have buddies that you would like go around and play with, or how did you or did you just sit down and just start to teach yourself the guitar?
Yeah, I think that was the thing. There was a lot of other friends that were playing, and I always tell people like I don't think I have a whole lot of like natural talent. Like I've never been a savant at something. I just pick it up and play. I've got friends who can.
Yep.
I got to work really hard at like everything.
Okay.
So I think that was the big thing. Maybe that is my talent, is that I can like work hard.
Yep.
But I had a huge passion to do it. I always wanted to play live. I always wanted to be on stage performing for people. And I kind of knew I had to keep getting better and better and better.
Okay.
And I always just kind of learned from everybody around me. And at the time then especially, I was always around bands, like everybody was playing, like I said, in church or at high school stuff. Like I was always kind of immersed in other people who were learning too, or getting better than me, or whatever it was, and I just absorbed everything I could. I think that was the big thing was learning from other people, and then I'd sit at home and kind of mess around, and then I noticed like every now and then I'd get lucky finding something by ear. And I think it was kind of just a big mix of that.
You listen to a lot of music too? It sounded like your dad liked music, so if he would play a lot of music, you would listen to it. Did he play guitar at all?
No, he just sang.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a house, like you were the only one.
Yeah, it's the only one, still the only one playing instruments. But
oh, wow. Does your sister sing too?
Yeah, she sings. She's got an amazing voice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She can sing her ass off.
Yeah, that's great. So did you were like, what were you, like 13 or 14 when Three Doors Down came out with Kryptonite?
Yeah.
Like you were low teens.
Yeah, so this was over 20 years ago now.
Dang. So did you start to do some solo stuff, then got into Three Doors? Or was Three Doors sort of like the beginning of your career, and then you started getting into some solo stuff after that?
I'd always played in bands. As soon as I got out of high school, I didn't go to college. Well, I went to college for like a semester and a half.
Oh, yeah?
Right before that, I'd started a band with some friends back home. And we immediately started like actually playing shows in town and touring.
Okay.
Right before I got out of high school, I was going to a lot of local shows. Like at the time, we had a big rock scene back home. Like everybody was into heavy metal stuff, and always wanted to like be on stage playing with them. And ended up starting this band, and we did that for like 9 years. But we got to do some cool stuff and travel and do all that. So, I think the desire to do some solo stuff was there towards the end, but I was always in bands. So I always saw myself as like just kind of a side guy, playing guitar, playing lead, doing some backup vocals or something. And everything kind of led up to the Three Doors stuff, and then that also opened doors for me to do my solo stuff.
I see. When you were playing in bands, was it mostly guitar, sometimes bass, or was it half guitar, half bass?
It was all guitar.
How'd you wind up in Three Doors if you weren't like an accomplished bass player? This makes no sense.
That's a great question. So fast forward from 18 to, I guess I was like 26 or 27 once I joined the band. It's 27. And the old band, we had a little bit of success here and there doing some stuff. We got to do some cool things. We toured a bunch, like all kind of self-funded DIY punk rock stuff. We got to open for Slash, which was cool, and Korn, Drowning Pool. Like, do some kind of weird, random things here and there, but it never really took off. And in that same time, old band and Three Doors got the same management here in town, which was crazy. And one of my best friends was working for the management company. And he got us hooked up with Chris Henderson, the guitar player for Three Doors.
Yeah.
He's got a studio out in Hendersonville that they've had for years. And he started recording my old band because it was cool. It was
the manager or Chris Henderson?
Chris Henderson, the guitar player.
Has a studio in Hendersonville?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 3 of the guys live out there, and they all work out at the studio.
To this day they do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Everybody's based here.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Brad, our singer's out in Murfreesboro, and then 3 guys in Hendersonville. I'm out in Hermitage.
Cool.
Yeah. Good spot to be in.
Yeah. I mean,
when we used to
Nashville,
tour,
of course.
it's easy to get in and out.
Yep.
But yeah, the studio there, he was recording my band. It was a lot of, like kind of heavy Southern rock stuff and Whiskey and the Devil and Screaming and all that, and loved it. We had a lot of fun, but
we need to fix our door out there. People leaving in and out. It's like loud. This is a concrete building, and it's a metal door, so it's like the worst of all worlds. I mean, it's
a lot of echoes.
It is, yeah.
What's it say? Yeah. So whenever he started recording us, around that same time, I started coming over here writing country. I wasn't living here yet, but I was coming over because I'd kind of reignited my passion for country, and got a couple weird opportunities to do some stuff, and then a guy named James House, he's a writer, wrote a bunch of stuff for Diamond Rio, Dwight Yoakam, Martina McBride, bunch of Joe Bonamassa stuff. Like he's an interesting songwriter. He's still out there doing it, which is cool. But he took me under his wing for about a year and a half and kind of taught me how Nashville songwrites with different people in a room, and instead of just like writing this stream of consciousness, weird stuff that, like you kind of do whenever you first get started. He'd kind of help me hone in that stuff and write things that people actually wanted to listen to. And how to write stuff for other people and tell a story and melody and composition, all that good stuff that you kind of figure out. So I was over here a lot Had the same management as Three Doors, so we were kind of constantly doing random stuff when I'd come to town. Like I'd go to a record release that they did, or they'd have something going on in town, and I was just kind of kept up that relationship with everybody.
Okay.
And also do leather work. So with our charity that the band's been running for 16 years now, they had asked me to do like make flasks or wallets or something as like VIP things for the people whenever we did.
Three Doors or your band?
Three Doors.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry, I should have specified that. But it's called the Better Life Foundation. It's a really cool charity. But so I was just kind of always around like different events and kept up that relationship with everybody in the band and management and people behind the scenes and stuff. Like everybody just kind of knew me. So fast forward a couple more years, and their bass player got in some trouble here in town, and they fired him. And they called me. They were like, "Hey man, we know you're not a total screw up. Do you think you could figure out bass within the next 3 weeks?" And like,
holy
absolutely.
cow!
So sat down, learned as much as I possibly could, enough to at least like fake it through some songs. And, came here, we played a song. They were like, "Cool, let's go to Moscow."
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. So the first show and then tour I did was Moscow, Russia, and then we did a month in Europe.
That was your first tour.
Yeah.
Moscow, and then you went to Europe for a month.
Yeah.
After they said about 3 or 4 weeks prior, "Hey man, you want to be bass player for our band, Three Doors Down?
Yeah.
Go learn the bass, and then let's go on tour for a month."
Yeah. I was
dang, man. Talk about baptism by fire. I mean, seriously, crazy. That is insane.
I had whenever they call, I was at a restaurant I was working at back home.
You were in Nashville at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were not living in Nashville at the time.
No.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was
you were living in
Nashville.
You would come back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
And you were coming over here to sort of learn the industry, get around the people.
Yeah.
You were writing some songs or learning about that. So that's what was bringing you here. It was not Three Doors Down specifically.
Not Three Doors specifically
right.
yet. So I'd been coming over like almost every weekend for a year and a half. Like I'd get off work and I'd drive over, songwrite for like 2 days and then drive back.
And when you'd songwrite for a couple of days, that was mostly you're all country?
Yeah, that was all country.
So at this point, you're on track for just kind of expanding your career in country music.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not expanding because you weren't doing necessarily country before that, but like you were on a country music trajectory. That's what was bringing you to Nashville.
Yeah, I didn't really know it, but yeah, it definitely was.
I see. And then the Three Doors thing happened, and you remember where you were at when you got the phone call?
Yeah. Our guitar player, Chris, he called me. He was like, "Hey, man, take this serious." He was like, we're serious about you. It's not a joke. Like, take it serious and do everything you can to figure this out. And I was like, all right. So,
did any part of you be like, "Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can do this," or was it just like, "Heck yeah, let's go"?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah,
like, I think I had that that weird, like, I don't know, honestly.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure.
Like, thinking about it now, there's like, is it such a, like, it's second nature now to like, just go play and do stuff with them. But that was definitely like the biggest opportunity that I'd ever had. And I'm sure I second guessed myself a ton. I had, no idea what I was doing, but I knew I was going to work hard and give it every chance I possibly could.
Yeah. How, at this point though, how proficient are you on the bass? Like you can play it, you were decent, or you really you weren't proficient really at all when you just learned it? Okay.
There was like, I could get through the songs and make it sound like,
okay.
Like I wasn't hitting the nuances of like what a drummer would be like, "Hey man, like this guy's a great bass player."
Okay.
But like,
yeah.
Someone just listening and like it sounded like the songs. It wasn't like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah,
it's like,
I see.
It worked.
Okay.
And it wasn't anywhere near where I wanted to be with it.
Okay.
And like I said, like with bass, you play with the drummer.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff when I first started because Greg, our drummer, is like a phenomenal drummer, phenomenal musician across the board. And he knows how it's supposed to sound and what's supposed to be there. So the first couple of years was very like, we were always kind of not really fighting, but it was like, you're doing it wrong. Come on. And
would he come to you after the show? And
yeah,
be like,
like we talked a lot about everything, which was a huge benefit for me going into it and learning. Because I always came from guitar, so like I'm playing stuff and I'm like playing the right notes. Like I'm not playing anything out of time. Like this sounds right. But whenever you got like a really great drummer who can tell when it's like, hey, this beat needs to be here, this needs to be here. You're like, I didn't even know I was doing anything wrong. So,
I see. Yep.
That definitely helped. I guess turn me more into a bass player.
Okay.
With that stuff, because it's similar chords. You're doing some similar things as a guitar, so you can get through it. But translating to actually being a bass player is like a totally different mindset. So getting out of lead guitar player and focusing more on bass was something that, with his help, I had to like really focus on and achieve and work towards again. Not just like, oh, cool, I just pick this up and I can play. Like I had to like completely learn like a separate skill.
Right. Was it hard to kind of maintain a good working relationship with him if he was always like giving you pointers and telling you what could have been a little better or if you screwed up or whatever? Was it like harder to have that kind of gel with him because he was working with you so closely, or not necessarily?
I think at the beginning when we didn't really know each other, like we knew each other, but we never like played music together.
Sure.
And I think when you're in a situation where you're playing like a stadium somewhere and like you're very particular about how this is supposed to sound. Like we definitely butted heads for a while because we'd get done and be like, that was great, and he'd be like, that was shit.
No way.
And like we'd never really fight, but it was always like, what are you talking about, man? I didn't do anything wrong, and then you found out, like it's like, no, this is how this is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I think initially when we were trying to figure out how to communicate, it was kind of heated sometimes.
Okay.
And
I can imagine.
It'd get very frustrating for me because I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, but I played all the notes right. Like, it was a great set. Everybody loved it. But there's that level of professionalism again that you get into where it's like, no, this needs to be even better. And looking back on it now, I'm like, it just made me even better at what I'm doing now.
Sure.
Because he was hard on me for it.
Yeah, so that tough love is like it's made you better in the long term.
Yeah.
And how many years have you been with him now?
Going on 8.
Going on 8 years. So was it like in 2013? Is that when you joined? 14?
13.
13. So you're 35 now, 7 or 8 years ago. You're like 27, 28 years old.
Yeah.
When you came on board with Three Doors. So how old were the other guys? At that point, it would be 3 other members in the band, right?
Yeah.
Were they all roughly the same age? And if so, kind of how much older than you? I'm picturing that they were older.
Everybody's about 10 years older than me.
I see.
Close to 10. Okay. I think Brad just turned 43, so he's not 10 years older. He's the other younger guy, but
I see.
And he's been there the whole time. He was very young when the band got started. So,
and then one other guy has been there the whole time as well, right?
Yeah, Chris
and Brad have been there since the beginning.
Yeah, and then Greg, he's been there since basically the beginning. He's like the second drummer I think they had, but he's been there for a very long time.
I see. So these 3 guys have been playing together for a long time.
Yeah.
And the bass player before you, remind me of his last name again?
It was Todd Harrell.
Yeah, Todd Harrell. Yeah. And he was with them for like a dozen years plus, right?
He started the band with Brad. Like, way back, like, hey, let's go play in the garage, kind of stuff.
So he needed to drop out, and here comes this new guy. He's younger. He's not like, he hasn't toured internationally playing the bass before. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Now he's joining the band. I mean, how were you received? I mean, that's such a abrupt. here we go, boys, and to join a band where like 4 of them had been together for a long, long time and now one's out and you're in, that just seems like that could be difficult, but I don't think it would need to be, but it seems like a challenging situation. How was it like kind of melting in there and becoming part of the band?
It was a lot easier than I thought.
Okay.
And there's challenges here and there, but I think for the most part, the way he left and the way I came in, it wasn't like they kicked him out and he went and started another band or something.
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, why'd you guys do this? It was pretty definitive that he was going to be gone and not coming back. So I think that helped a little bit with the transition. And then like people just like, luckily for me, the fans have always been very supportive and excited. Like the fans that Three Doors has are awesome. Like some of the best fans that I've ever seen any band have. And they latch on and support like every member for whatever, anything that's going on. They love it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And then they love the band as a whole. I think they're gotten very lucky. Obviously there's a lot of, like fans are going to latch on to certain people that they like more or whatever.
Yeah.
But as a whole, they love the band.
Okay.
And its many forms that it's had over the years. And
so you've got to win over the hearts of the other band members, because it's going to be a long life if everyone in the band hates you, or half of them do. Like that's just not not going to work probably. But then you've also got to win over the hearts of all the fans. Like that's a whole other thing. What was sort of your mentality coming into the band to like win over the hearts of the band members and then also the fans? Like just kind of like, listening first and speaking slowly, like whatever they need kind of, or you just kind of come in like, this is me, take it or leave it. And same with the fans. Like what was your mentality coming into that?
I don't think I had like a strategy or anything. I was just myself. Tend to get along with most people. And I'm a pretty easygoing guy anyway, so there's not like a battling ego thing there.
Right.
And like I said before, I try to learn from every single thing or person that I come in contact with. So I think it was a good mix of me having a pretty easygoing temperament, but also going into a situation that I knew I needed to learn a lot pretty fast.
Yes.
And like not just like to play music, but also how to like function in a professional sense on the road in a way that I'd never been on the road before.
Yes.
Like flying buses, like flying several times a day to different places and maintaining that attitude, because you learn really quick when you're around and you got, like 25 people that you're traveling with every single day. One really shitty attitude will affect the whole thing. Like it trickles down pretty quick.
That.
And so I mean, like we're human. People still end up having bad days, and it's tough to hide. But for the most part, I think you kind of end up putting aside any kind of weird petty stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it's like everybody getting along and not being miserable out here is way more important than like being mad that the last Diet Coke is gone out of the refrigerator. Like it's
that's what it comes down to, bro. The little stuff.
So, I think before too, playing in bands where I was, in a van driving and playing a basement or a bar somewhere with 4 people that are all drinking way too much in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot of patience.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think I had a ton of patience, a willingness to learn, and a drive to be more professional and successful.
Okay.
Than I was. So I think it was a good mix of that, and also I think the band kind of came from a similar aspect where they were, at one point they were all in separate buses. They weren't getting along. Like there was a lot of tension because they did, a lot of guys grew up together, and they've been doing it for years. So I think at the time that I came in, especially when Chet, the other guitar player, he came in a couple years before I did. I think a lot of that attitude wanted to change. I think everybody was excited to be able to get along.
I see.
Yeah.
So there was a point a few years before you came on board where Three Doors would travel in multiple buses because the guys didn't really want to spend that much time in that close proximity to each other?
Yeah, and I think it was, I wasn't there, so I don't speak on it too much, but yeah, there was a separation, I think, that kind of, I think a lot of bands go through it at different times when they get like wildly successful, and the money's there to be able to do something like that where you're like, I'll get my own bus, like, fuck y'all, I'm going to go over here.
Yes.
So, I'll see you on stage and then never see you again until we're back on stage.
Interesting.
So,
how does that play out in the show? When a band is successful enough to be like, screw you, I'm taking my own bus, meet you there, and they come on, but it's game time, and so they play. Like, how much of that translates in the event? Like, is it just there's that extra little bit of magic that you just don't have? It's still good. It's still great. And presumably at this point, like you mentioned, the bands that have the ability to do this are successful. They're making money. So, and if you're at that level, like, I feel like people are willing to overlook some stuff too, maybe, because you just have that level of popularity. But is there any additional magic that comes out on the stage when the guys are just gelling, even during the day, much better?
I like to think so, but I think it's something that fans would never notice. Like, I think like seeing other bands that are really big, like you see some, like, I don't even know who to compare it to now, but you're doing a job, there's money there. It'd be like working in an office with people. There's probably going to be people that you can't stand, and you still got to get your job done. You still got to do some stuff. And I feel like that would be the situation, because I can't really compare it to something else that I've done, because the whole time I've been in Three Doors, we're always together. And if there's ever an issue or something, like, we hash it out right then and there. And I feel like I think that's probably the big aspect of it, is when you have everybody separated all the time, those irritations can really, like, fester.
Sure.
Because you don't have to ever really confront them until you're right there on stage. And then you can go back and sit in your little echo chamber and be mad at somebody, and then see them again, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And I think the big benefit that I've seen over the years of everybody, at least in the band, being together, is if there's ever an issue, it's sorted out real fast. And that's it. And then we go about our day. And there's not a whole lot of stuff that would linger for 3 or 4 weeks and then blow up, and it's this whole ordeal. It's like, someone's irritated about something, it's usually pretty quick and done. And and I think that keeps us all a lot closer. And I think for me, it translates in the show, because you're up there jamming and having fun instead of being up there like, I can't wait to get away from this guy.
Yeah, and it feels good, and you're vibing and gelling, and it's not, you're not having to, like, put on an act. It would seem to me like that's definitely the better case scenario. But it's also not surprising that you say, look, if a band's going through a rough spot where they're really not gelling during the day, they just get on stage and they do the work. And you're gonna, as a guitar player, you're gonna be like moving around on stage with a smile on your face, like looking like you're you probably are having a good time. Like, you're all just doing your work together, and no one really knows that you hate each other during the day in that period of time.
I think too, like with that, it's not about us, it's about the fans. So even if I'm having an irritated day for whatever reason, like, as soon as I get on stage, I'm like, I've got to shut that stuff out.
Yes.
Because I'm here for these fans. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that I'm mad about something in catering being gone or some dumb shit. And you don't want to translate that to them.
Yes.
You don't want to translate that negativity to them, because they're there. It's probably like the best thing they've done all month. They've been looking forward to it. They're excited. They paid money to see you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that you just put aside. And I've done it, with Three Doors and also with my solo stuff. Like, there's times you go and it's like, you're irritated about something, or something didn't go exactly as planned, and you put it aside because it's about the fans, it's about them enjoying it, it's about their night, not yours.
Yeah, exactly. Is that easy to do? I feel like it would be. Like, performing at that level, that's in people's blood, right? Do you thrive on that?
Yeah, I thrive on that.
Is there ever a time where it's like, we're on stage and it's like, man, come on, man, get it together. act like you're having fun, and you just sort of like get through the night? Or is it like sometimes, I mean, obviously you're going to have good days and bad days. And on the bad days, it's like, oh man, you're tired or you're whatever it is. You just don't feel as into it. But when you hit the stage, it immediately comes on. Does it always immediately come on, or do sometimes you have to kind of work into it?
I think every now and then you got to work into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a completely like on-off switch. I think, especially sometimes you go and you play something that's like, man, I've been looking forward to this all week. This is going to be a huge show. And for whatever reason, you go out there and everybody's just like staring at you, like total dud crowd. And then, 6, 7 songs, you're like, damn, what's wrong with these people? Are they okay? Like, why is everybody just staring at me? This is awkward. And I think like you start thinking about it too much, and then you just got to push through that. And then other times you go out and be having the exact opposite. You'd be like, I'm bummed out. I'm not having a great day, whatever. And you got everybody's going crazy. So
and I think you just feed off of that.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is just constant roller coaster of human emotion. No matter where you are, whatever it is, like if you let it, one thing will ruin your show or make your show, or it's all very unpredictable.
Yeah, there's a chemistry to that. There's like an intangible to that. There's I was watching Post Malone, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast this summer, talking about like what it's like when you are performing to 15,000 people. And he's like, you have no idea. Like, it's like it's like somehow 15,000 people, you're in the moment with 15,000 people and you're all sort of together and you feel that energy. And he's just like, it's the best thing in the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, have you played in front of 15,000 people, by the way?
Like, we played in front of, I think the biggest one was when we did the inauguration. There was, I think it was like over 200,000.
Golly. In person?
Yeah, in person.
And plus there's millions on TV, right?
Yeah, so it was obviously televised, and then it went out. We played at Lincoln Memorial.
Yep.
On the steps there, and then it went all the way out to the Washington Monument. It was just people all like, I can't believe.
Dang.
Like it went so far back that you couldn't even see that it was people anymore. It was just kind of this shadow that went all the way out, and they had TVs going the whole way down. And then right in front of us, it was easily 100,000 people out through there, with all the main guests, like the military guests and all that different stuff, and then the first family and like everybody that was there. It was just more people than I've ever been in front of. And before that, we had done like Download Fest, which was like 80, 90,000, and did the Boy Scout Jamboree, which was like 87,000 something people, and the King of Sweden was there. Apparently, he's like a big Boy Scout supporter. Like, he's got chapters all over Sweden, and done like 60,000 randomly, and it's called like Taste of Blue Ash Festival up in Ohio. They had like 66,000 people there first one night.
Dang.
Random.
Now, if you're going to play at a stadium, like not something special, but it's just like an average tour stop, whatever that may be, if there is such a thing. Like, how many people are at those shows?
Kind of depends on what we're doing, but if it's like a big tour with other bands, it's usually like 6 to 10.
6 to 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of places you end up with more. Just kind of depends on the setup.
Sure. So if you're doing like a full on concert with another band and 6 to 10,000 people there, a lot of times it'd be like, I'm picturing just something like maybe like at the Bridgestone Arena, like a venue like that.
Yeah,
is that
play a lot of those?
Common? Okay,
yeah, a lot of those, a lot of stuff like Ascend Amphitheater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So I think they call those like sheds. So it's like a big stage with a lawn out in front. Gotcha. We play a ton of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if you're playing those types of things, I picture that being a little bit different than like certainly playing at the inauguration or playing at some of these other festivals.
Yeah.
It's just like that's a concert, right? And the other thing, it's a little bit more like an event. There's other things going on, those types of things. I'm sure they're great each in their own right, but is still sort of your favorite just to go like play a full concert to 10,000 people, or are the festivals and inaugurations is like that your most favorite part?
They all have different stuff that's really cool about them. I don't think I have like a particular one because like with my solo stuff, I go play a bar for 50 people. and I still love it. I still get excited. I still love performing and playing music. So, there's different aspects of it that are really cool. I think with the big events, you lose a little bit of that connection because everything pretty far away.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought maybe.
Yeah. So even stuff like Download Fest over in England, it's 100,000 people easy, and they're probably like 60, 50 something feet away from you from the stage because there's this huge gap where they keep the crowd back. And
gotcha.
So everybody out there is like real small anyways. Yeah. Cool. And then it's just this kind of sea of dots that's moving around. So you lose a bit of that like personal connection where you're like playing like rocking out with people up front, like, oh, cool, jamming. So you kind of lose some of that, but it's still like it's the energy of 100,000 people in front of you. And
dang.
We've done a lot of acoustic tours that are like theaters. So,
Three Doors has?
Yeah. We've done quite a few because we did one and it was successful and it was cool and the fans loved it. It's not full acoustic. It's just kind of stripped down. And,
I see.
We did those in like kind of historic theaters all over the country and in Canada. And that was cool because it's like very personal. It's still like 2,000-3,000 people in a theater, but totally different level of that too because it's energy, it's exciting, but it's stripped down a little bit, and then people are like right there. There's a lot of times the seats are like this close.
Oh, so, wow. Yeah, that is really cool.
We did a whole thing for a couple of those acoustic tours where the fans could sit on stage. It was like a VIP package. So then we'd have like couches.
No way.
And people sitting around us, which was like a whole other thing because they're like right there just staring
awesome.
at you, which was cool.
That's very cool. I'm just picturing when you're playing at a concert with another band and people it's the best night of their month probably, and they've been looking forward to this and they play good money. They're here because of Three Doors Down. Like they have come to listen and jam out and rock out and have a good time with their friends or whoever they're with, and they just want to get in the zone with Three Doors, and they're fans. Like that's why they're here. Whereas at the inauguration, it's like they're there for the inauguration, and then it's very cool that Three Doors is here, but like there's other stuff going on. Yeah. It just seems to me like there's a magic about playing like in a concert in a stadium. That's why they're there, and you can just share that evening with everyone. Yeah,
and that's a cool feeling too, like doing those acoustic things or doing like a Shed stadium tour or anything that it's cool. It's like they're here for us.
Yeah,
and that's cool. Yeah, like it's we've played a ton of festivals too, some of the big rock festivals, and there's a lot of people there, but you still got your core fans that are down there that like, hey, I'm going to go see Three Doors Down at 6 o'clock. They're playing this stage, and like they come up, and then there's just a lot of people waiting on other bands. Okay. Still a ton of energy, still really cool. But whenever you go to a big venue and it's sold out, and you're the headliner, that's pretty cool. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
It's a really good feeling.
Did you ever do you get nervous before you play? Did you ever feel like you go throw up or something like that?
No, never that much. Definitely get nervous, but I think it's a little more now like nervous excitement.
Oh,
like
yeah?
You're about to do something cool or exciting, or like it's not nervous like, oh, shit, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, don't put me in front of people. I'm not ready. It's like, excited that
you can start to feel that energy.
Yeah. And I think that just comes with playing and having the confidence to get up there and do that stuff. So still get excited. It's fun. It's just a different kind of nervous, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense. When you flew to Russia with the band, this is your first gig. At that point, is Three Doors using private jets or flying commercial?
We flew commercial.
Okay.
So we had 25 people for that tour.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. So you fly over there, and obviously you've had some rehearsals or probably, played the instruments or got together a little bit on stateside, and all right, we're ready now.
Yeah, we rehearsed here in Hendersonville for about 2 weeks.
I see. And then, but I mean, you're rehearsing in like studios or whatever. Like you're not rehearsing in front of large amounts of people.
No.
So you fly to Russia and just put on a big show.
Yeah.
And do they have they obviously have a pretty good international presence. Was Moscow, does Russia happen to be like one of those countries that's like really into Three Doors, or is there other countries that are more into it?
I think they're really into rock music in general. So they show up because it's still not easy to go over there and put on a tour. Like no matter who you are, really.
Because of
logistics,
the Russia laws and everything? Or?
Well, yeah, and logistics and just traveling in and out of that country in particular. They're pretty hardcore about who comes in and out of that place. Even if you're visiting with visas and everything, like it's not, you can't just like show up and be like, hey, we're coming to Russia.
Yeah.
Let's go play. Like there's like a whole process and visas and there's a whole thing like I can't remember if it's in or out of the country. You can't just drive a bus in there. Like you can't just be like, hey, we got the bus company meeting us in Moscow. Because you can't just take an empty bus into Russia and then leaving the country. I guess they don't want you going in trying to get people out of the country or something.
No way, dude. That's terrifying.
Yeah. It's an interesting place, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's an interesting place. And,
what are the people like when you were there? Like, I just picture them as being, I don't know, I guess I picture being very cold a lot and just the people being maybe a little bit more abrasive.
Yeah, I think that's just their culture anyways. Okay. Under years of communist rule.
Sure.
And I wouldn't say people were unfriendly, but it's not like in me, like growing up in the South, I like wave at everybody. Like hold the door for people. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Yep. Like, what's up, y'all? Like to everybody. And I've never, never thought anything different of it until I start going to like New York or something. Then you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
People are not as friendly.
No, they're not.
But Moscow was definitely like, they don't have like a big tourism side of that. Like people don't just go like, hey, let's go spring break in Moscow.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Like foreigners, I think really stick out big time there.
I see.
I wouldn't say they're like grouchy or anything, but like it's just like very no nonsense.
I see.
Whenever you go,
that's how I picture it.
Like whenever you wander around doing anything, and you don't really see anybody smiling because for a long time, if you were smiling, you were up to something, and in the middle of the night, someone would knock on your door and drag you off to a gulag.
Ugh.
So I think there was just culturally, it's not as like a warm group of people. So there's different times, like because we were in a hotel for like 4 or 5 days, like doing different stuff once we got into Moscow before the show.
Okay.
So we had some rehearsals and we had like a day off from the flights because we had like 24 hours of flights almost getting in there. So we didn't go straight into a play in the show, but got the bartender to kind of loosen up like while we were down there.
Nice.
Early on after you saw us for like 3 days. And I just don't think it's like a real like warm.
Yeah, that's how I picture it too.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're like mean people, but it's just not in the culture to be.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Kind of like when you go to Seattle.
Okay.
Not the friendliest people in the world.
Oh yeah? I don't think I've ever. I have been through Seattle, but I've never spent much time there.
Yeah, I got when we've played there a bunch. I'm not knocking too hard on it, but you definitely like when you go to places, it's not as like.
I never heard that people in Seattle were just not as friendly, huh?
Yeah,
interesting.
That I've encountered.
Interesting. Would you compare it to like New York City, or it's even worse than that?
It's probably about the same. I think.
Okay.
No, they're probably a little grouchier.
Because I actually don't. What I like about New York City is people are just very open and honest. Like if they don't like you, they just tell you. You know what I mean? Like And I grew up in upstate New York. We had 5 hours to the city, but I like when people. I'd much rather someone just is up in my face, as opposed to being friendly and then talking about me behind my back. So the New Yorker thing, and there's so many people there. But what's interesting about Seattle is there's not nearly as many people there, but I mean, why wouldn't you be grouchy? It rains all the time. You know what I mean?
I think
it's cold and rainy.
It's like that kind of abrasive New Yorker thing, but then with like heavy sarcasm or something.
Oh, I see. So it's even like it's like that jab.
Yeah. So like just
yikes.
Yeah. I can't describe it.
Favorite places
without trying to sound like a dick or something.
Right. We'll sit here and judge the world. Yeah. Favorite places though that you have played outside the States internationally?
Love Germany.
Really?
It's really cool. We do well there, and we spend a lot of time in there. So whenever we tour in Europe, we end up in Germany for like 2 or 3 weeks playing a bunch of the cities there.
Oh, wow.
And,
what do you like about Germany?
It's beautiful. There's a ton of history. I love history. So whenever we, like any city, go check out, whatever's there.
Right.
And good food, great beer.
Yeah.
People are friendly.
Okay.
It's a little easier to get around than other places. Like, we've been to Japan and Okinawa, and you look at the language and you're like, I have no idea where I am or what that sign says at all. Different places in Europe, you can see stuff and be like, oh, that's a restaurant. Cool. Let's go in there. Like, okay, there's the bar. There's, like you can figure it out a little different. So it makes it a little easier to travel. And everybody there knows English pretty much. So, friendly. It's beautiful. Great food.
Yep.
Good beer.
I've never been to Germany. You were when Kryptonite came out. Kryptonite was Three Doors Down's first, at least big single, correct?
Yeah,
or first single period.
I think that was the first single period.
First single
that really.
I mean, it really
rocketed.
Yeah, I mean, for that to be like one of your first singles or your first single, and just to go. I mean, that is. And when you think about that, that's pretty exceptional.
Yeah.
And you were like a kid when that came out.
I think I was 14 or 15.
Did you listen to Three Doors Down in your teenage years or not so much?
Yeah, I always liked them.
Oh, yeah?
Like I have this weird memory of being in the front yard and hearing that song for the first time. And we had the radio on. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And like, they were cool. I always liked them. And then years later, like when my friend Darren started working for their management that ended up being our management, it was like kind of reintroduced to their stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, this is cool. It's great rock songs.
Yeah. When was Here Without Me? When did that come out? Do you remember?
Here Without You was like a couple years after Kryptonite, I believe. Because they had other singles in between there that all did well. Okay. And then Here Without You was like the next song that was like through the roof, and it's still a massive, massive song. Is
that like their biggest? You think that would be their most well-known song?
I think between that and Kryptonite, they're the two biggest, and I think now too, Here Without You still has the most streams on YouTube for video stuff. Like the video, I mean, it's like in the hundreds of millions of views, and it constantly goes up. I think that was a big one. I think too, it was after 2001, so we had a lot of people being deployed to the Middle East after 9/11, and that song I think really struck a chord with the military, and that launched a lot of stuff. Big song after that for a lot of that reason too. But I mean, it was a cross genre hit at the time. Whenever you could be a rock band and have pop songs, so.
I mean, that song, I remember, that's just like a childhood. I remember like being upper teens and just listening to that song. I mean, that just, Here Without You, baby. Yeah. I mean, that song just like, man, when a song works, it just really works. Like, how do you even explain that? Like, there's a magic to it. And I mean, it's like all these notes already existed. All these words already existed. That space and time already existed, but you take these different things and you orchestrate them and put them together and mix them together with the music notes and the words and the timing at just the right, and you put it together and you package it, and then like that combination of words and notes and timing stays together for the rest of your life. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah. And Brad's always had a great talent at writing stuff that like people identify with, and it's nothing. He's not writing some like crazy allegorical thing. It's like he writes like stuff that people get immediately and latch onto, and it's like writing for the common man doesn't sound right, but just like relatable. I think is stuff that,
right.
Like as soon as like whatever he's writing and putting out. As soon as you hear that chorus of those verses, people are like, I get that. I identify with that.
Yes.
And that's a whole crazy talent in and of itself. There's a lot of people that can write poetry and different stuff that you're like, what the hell are they talking about? And it sounds cool. You're like, what is this?
Right.
And it's a whole other talent to be able to write something that people are like, that's me. I'm living that. I get that. Like that's been a huge reason for the success of the bands. Like the music's cool and everything, and then like Brad writes stuff that people just get and love and latch onto, and it becomes like such a part of their lives. And a big one for that is "Not My Time," which is another big song of theirs.
Not my time.
Yeah, and I can't even count how many people reach out or at shows or whatever. They're like, "This got me through my cancer treatments."
Wow.
And like the fact that like latches on to people there, it's like you can't specifically sit down and be like, I'm going to write a song that people who are going through a hard time are going to latch on to for the rest of their lives, and it's going to become an anthem. Like you write, and he has that talent that people are like, that's the song of my life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's
so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. C.S. Lewis said, for most people, not all, music is the thing known in the present life which most strongly suggests ecstasy and infinity. And I mean, he's got to be right, because I mean, it's definitely that way for me. Like, there's nothing that tops music's ability to like penetrate your soul, basically. I mean, it's like that for someone to be in cancer treatment and to hear this music, which, how do you even describe it? Like these tones and these words put together, but to hear this song be played and to like give that person hope. And yet it still works for millions of people who don't have cancer. Yeah. But it also works for that person who does, and they're going through a really hard time, and it's particularly meaningful for them. Like there's an intangible, almost spiritual, like there's something going on there at like the level of chemistry that how do you even begin to describe?
I don't think you can. Like I think you either get it or you don't. Like there's some people that like legitimately don't listen to music, and I don't know how they function, but there is a spiritual level to it that I think like it just speaks to that human collective, whatever that is, whatever that. I mean, every religion has some kind of music. There's a spiritual aspect to it that brings people together. That, like you said, it like penetrates your soul.
Yes,
and I think that goes across like anything. Some people love hardcore music or only listen to country or classical or like whatever it is. There's a place for it, and it speaks to you and it speaks to people, and that's
what's like whatever is different from us than animals, because we have obvious differences from animals. Like they're all about instinct and they just do their thing, and then they communicate too. But we wonder like, is there more to this life? I don't think animals really wonder that, No. So whatever those differences are between animals and humans, whatever that is, that's what music is speaking to. You know what I mean? It's got to be that. It's like at that level.
Yeah.
You said, I think I saw a quote somewhere. You said, let's see. At the end of the day, I know I'll always be able to focus on my love of an honest melody. This was an article that someplace in Nashville had said.
Yeah.
So you'll just be able to focus on your love of an honest melody. What do you mean by that?
Just being true to what I want to convey in my music, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess.
And you're saying melody,
not really pretending.
Yeah.
Like doing what I believe, not really chasing other stuff because it's popular. But
yep. I think that comes through in music too.
Yeah, I think you can kind of hear a difference, especially if you've been listening to an artist for a little while.
Right.
And I'm all about like trying different things with the music and stuff, but sometimes things come off disingenuous. And I think that would be the honest melody side of it.
And there's always a space for that too. You know what I mean? There's always going to be a market for that honest melody, for sure.
Just being true to myself.
Yep.
With that, and then other people identify with it as well.
Yeah. When you played at the inauguration, which, Andrew, can you pull that up on the TV or no? That was Trump's inauguration, January of 17.
Yep.
So almost 4 years ago, very close to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, who contacts you? Like, the people that are putting this inauguration together? And
yeah, the people, there was people above my pay grade that I'd never have any contact with. That
they're like,
they got together. And
whoever's like planning the inauguration, like, it's not going to be like Trump's like, yeah, I want to have 3 doors at my inauguration. But whoever like plans these things.
I mean,
he might have.
Band had met him years ago, like way before I was in the band. They met him playing, I think, Leno one night or something.
Oh, yeah?
A long time ago. Said he was awesome. And came into the dressing room, like, talked to everybody. Said he was the nicest man.
Very cool.
And, I mean, knowing that, he maybe was like, yeah.
Yeah,
guys, like, they have that connection with the military. Like, we've done a ton of USO-type tours.
Oh, really?
Always big supporters of the military. So I think that had a lot to do with it. So,
I see.
Same with Toby Keith. He was on it with us.
Okay. I was going to ask who else played in the inauguration.
It was us and Toby Keith and Lee Greenwood that I remember, the God Bless the USA.
Wow.
Yeah. Proud to Be American song.
Oh, man. That's such a big song.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that was connected with the patriotic band,
I see.
American
that makes sense.
band,
yes,
military stuff too.
That makes sense. So, can you pull up the one video where it's like the at least the one video that we saw? Yeah. Oh, okay. This is Kryptonite. Just play a little bit of that, Andrew. I mean, look at all those people.
It's crazy.
I
will say, without getting into political stuff, I remember when we did this because like the whole fake news thing was starting.
Oh yeah,
whenever people were talking about it, and I remember we rehearsed the night before, and CNN ran the picture of our rehearsal and said nobody showed up for this event.
No way.
Yeah, like the next day, like people were sending us stuff, and I was like, "That's the most people I've ever seen in one place." And the next day
goodness!
It was like, it's because we got
static.
We got trashed big time for doing that.
You got trashed for doing what?
For playing the inauguration. It was like
3 doors got trashed for playing the inauguration.
Hatred. Yeah, like
from your fans or from who?
It was definitely it wasn't the fans. It was the same people that always
didn't want
out.
Trump to be elected or what?
Yeah, those same people that always freak out over shit. They were very unhappy that we were doing that. It could have been anybody. They attacked everybody for doing it, but
there's Justin. Look at that.
Dang, short.
What does that feel like, man? I mean, look at this stage.
It was I haven't seen that in a while. It's kind of a blur, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a blur. It was a lot of security in and out of stuff.
I believe that. Yeah.
But we'll say everybody we came in contact with backstage.
Thanks, Andrew.
Everybody who worked for the different stuff, like all races, all nationalities, like everybody that was working on that was so cool, and they were so happy to be doing stuff. Like it wasn't a negative thing at all. There was I didn't come in contact with a single negative person working on anything back there.
I see.
So I think that with all the negativity going into it, it lightened the mood big time. Everybody was having a great day. They were like, "Hey, thanks for playing. This is cool."
Oh yeah,
yeah. This is a big deal. I mean, I don't care who it is. Like, play for a president.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that's a big deal.
I'd do it again. Do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So anybody anybody always gives shit or something, I'm like, kiss my ass.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd do it again.
Yeah, I mean that's such an honor to play for any president.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal for sure. Do you think Trump gets a negative light cast on him? I mean, for obvious reasons, from people that are trying to take over, trying to make him look bad to get him out, and so their party can come in, all these things. Do you think he just deals with that almost on every level, or
probably?
Or do you think there's like sometimes he does, I don't know, do some weird stuff? Or
I'm sure it's a mix. I've always been pragmatic with voting. I usually don't ever talk about politics stuff just because it's so annoying right now. But I think it's one of those things, like since probably like the early Obama years, media, social media, the connection that we all have has turned politics into such a divisive
it has.
Thing that you have to be angry about, and you have to, like, if somebody doesn't think the exact same way, you got to attack them.
Yeah.
And I think they just absolutely ramped it up for him.
Yeah,
I think it existed in the Obama days, and that was right when social media was really becoming prominent in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right whenever Trump came in, it was like, now everybody's on their phone 24/7. And from then on, everybody just kind of lives in that echo chamber of ideas. Like whatever idea you have, you can find a lot of other people that agree with you.
Yep.
And you can stay right there.
Yeah.
And you don't ever have to leave. And then you can look at other people outside of that and be judgmental and angry about it. And it's easy. We've let it happen.
It is.
People have allowed this to permeate their lives and their being, and it's allowed them to disown family members and friends that they've had their entire lives. And I think especially now, after this election, like whoever wins, it's just furthered the divide because of the years leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been hopeful, and like I love this country, and I'm very, like, even no matter what, I'm still proud to be an American and live here. And I think it's the greatest country in the world, and I think we've got a lot of opportunities, and I'm never going to apologize for that. But it's kind of tough to see the light at the end of the tunnel when the divide just keeps getting driven further and further and further.
Yeah, and that divide is being driven even deeper from social media and algorithms and all of those. I mean, I think there's just not helping at all.
I don't like diving into conspiracy theories either, but I think there's a conscious effort from somebody who's.
You think?
Yeah, I think there's I don't know who it is. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the end game is, but I think there's, like, you can get on social media right now today, and if you posted something saying like this election was rigged, Instagram takes it down, Facebook takes it down instantly. Like, it's gone. Like, your account's flagged, and all of a sudden you can't post.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
Yeah, that's weird to me,
too. You can't get on Twitter and say stuff like the First Amendment, the freedom of speech is gone.
Yes.
Like, you can't just get on and say shit.
Well, that's exactly right. So I think when it comes to your point about motivation and someone's being behind this, I don't disagree with that. But when you look at what they're taking down, it does tend to be more. Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it tends to be more on the conservative side that they're taking that down. Yeah. So that's at least some insight into what it seems like what's going on here. There's that door again. Your first Us in the Night, that was this was like you were part of writing this song.
Yeah.
And playing it in studio.
Yep.
And how soon was this after you were had joined up with Three Doors?
When was that? Dang, it feels like forever ago now. I had really short hair on that album. It helps me kind of gauge stuff sometimes. I've been in the band for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so it's been a couple years?
Yeah, so we'd been touring and had that chemistry going. And,
that's a great song, man. I was listening to it earlier today. It's very nice. It's a very good song.
The song was very close to my heart.
Oh, yeah?
And stuff. Because since I play guitar, I got to, whenever we'd bring stuff in, I wasn't like, hey, check out this bass line, guys. Like, I'd bring guitar parts that I've been working on.
Okay.
And I think that was a big help with writing the record. Because everybody played guitar. Greg, even our drummer, like he plays guitar. He's a great guitar player.
Okay.
And so that was kind of, especially with the rock music that we play, there was a lot of guitar-driven stuff.
Yes.
At least out of the gate. So that helped. Coming in with riffs, coming in with little parts that might be cool for different stuff. Mm-hmm. And that was one of them. I had that guitar riff I'd been jamming for a while, and we put it together. Yeah, it was a very cool process. It was about a year of getting together 3 or 4 times a week, just the guys in the band, and banging our heads against the wall and
to make that album.
Yeah.
Okay, a whole year.
It's close to it.
Wow.
Close to it. Of the process of everything, writing, and then it takes time to do all that stuff. Like we had the studio out in Hendersonville, so we did a lot of writing out there. And that day we could sit and build a whole track that sounded like record ready, just with the technology that's out there. And then you got stuff like, oh, here's the holidays. Oh, we've got a couple shows here. So it ends up being kind of drawn out. And that being 5 years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago now, I guess, technology's caught up now to where you can bang that stuff out pretty quick. But, even more so than it was back then. But it took about a year, like start to finish, getting stuff together and figuring out the songs and getting management to like everything or find the producer and
What's your favorite part of the process? Is it like writing these songs, being part of that? Is it the studio, or is it just going out and playing shows?
It's writing and playing shows. Yeah, like the studio stuff's fun. It's a little, it gets grueling and monotonous. I think that's when the really hard part comes out.
Yes,
getting it perfect, and you got a couple different opinions in there.
Right.
And, at the end of the day, I love writing. I love performing and stuff, and the studio stuff's probably third down the list somewhere.
I see. Yeah. The let's talk about some of the stuff you're coming out with now, though.
Yeah,
because you've got a couple of great songs out yourself. Yeah. Which one do you like the most? Is that like asking which one of your kids is your favorite?
Yeah. I've always loved She's Got the Highway.
It's a great song, man.
I think that's too because it was the third song that I put out, and whenever I play it live, like the fans love it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So that was kind of a fan favorite for a while too, since I've been playing live, doing this stuff on my own. So that one's got a special place.
What do you think it is about that one that the audience latches on to when you play it live?
I think the performance and delivery is like I love singing it and playing it, so I think it really stands out. But also like the chorus is cool and it's relatable, especially for women, I think. So it's like a positive female song.
Yep.
Which you don't get a ton of in country music. Not that it's all negative, but a lot of it's like, breakup songs or party songs or something. And I wanted that one to be a little more like, hey, there's a lot of women that are traveling all the time and love music and do the same thing that I do all on a daily basis, and wanted to be kind of about them and relatable to them in a positive light.
Yes.
Like a, strong woman out traveling for work or going to shows or whatever it is, and listening to music and loving music as much as, the guys in the profession do too.
Yeah. So, did you find that song latched on with the female audience more than some of your other songs?
Yeah, definitely.
I see.
I think it goes back to that relatable thing too. It's like, I've had so many fans that are like, that's me. Like I travel for work all the time.
Oh, okay.
Like that's my song. Like I put it on every time I get in the car. And that was huge for me, having something that, like I wrote and that I perform and that I put out, that I get messages that are like, that song's about me. I love it. Every time I get in the car, I play it. And that's cool.
Yep.
Like people are like, this gets me through my day. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I do it.
Yeah, that is great. What are you working on now? More singles or an album or?
Working on singles. I think everything's kind of going that way anyways.
Is it?
Yeah, with people's attention spans, it's kind of tough to sit back for a whole year and put out a record.
Yeah.
That's, like 10, 15 songs.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you get done, like within 2 or 3 months, people are like, hey, when you putting out more music?
Yeah.
I just worked on this for like 2 years. This is my life's work. What are you talking about? When's more music coming? Like, here it is.
Yeah.
I
so
think
you see the industry going more towards singles.
Yeah, it's kind of been driving that way with country music for sure, and then pop music big time.
Really?
Yeah, just because I go record a song today and have it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like with the technology that's here, it's not, you don't have to wait very long to get stuff out. So, how everything's algorithm driven, like, whenever you put stuff out and get people liking and sharing and following and doing all that stuff, 6 weeks you do it again, and there's more and more and more.
I see.
It's
interesting. Okay.
It's an attention span thing, I think, too. So I said, like, people, there's so much music coming out constantly. you kind of have to keep up with that, and you got to be putting your stuff in the mix as much as possible.
I see. Sure, that makes sense. What do you see as the downside to the industry moving more towards singles as opposed to away from albums then?
I'm sure there's plenty of downsides with, record sales and that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's like almost non-existent nowadays.
Sure.
Get flooded with a lot of stuff. You gotta, it's a very vast ocean. Now it's like a teardrop in the ocean whenever you put out a song, just because there's so many artists putting stuff out, good or bad.
Yeah,
like it's everywhere around the world every single day. So, I mean, like 20 years ago, you maybe have like 100 records that came out worldwide in a year. So you didn't really have as much competition, I guess. And now there's just so much stuff.
Yep. It makes sense. Yeah. Well, also now, if you take a year without putting out any new music, that has a real negative effect also on keeping some buzz out there and keeping some momentum and all of that as well, right? Unless you've people kind of lose, unless you've already made it, then everyone just can't wait, for your next album, and they're fine waiting that 10 months or whatever. But
people kind of lose interest after a while. So I think a big part of that too is like the upside would be, this young artist coming out like myself and a lot of others that can constantly put out music without having to have like a record label fronting $30,000 every time you go in the studio to press CDs and put record stuff out and do all this. Like, you can kind of allocate your limited funds into different things that will further that instead of totally on creating this record that now you have to also spend additional money promoting. So, that's the plus, I think. You get, a lot easier, I guess, for younger people, younger artists, I should say, to get their music out and be heard and picked up by people.
Yep. So you've been a country music fan for a long time.
Yep.
What's your assessment of where that genre is now and where it's going?
Like I said before, like just because I don't love something doesn't mean there's not a place for it. There's some stuff that I just I don't get. It's over my, I wouldn't say it's over my head, but like it's just not for me. Yeah, which is totally fine. Like there's a place for all of it. I wouldn't say there's a divide necessarily because there's always going to be all sorts of different stuff on country. And I think even listening back in the day, there, like especially in the 80s, there's all sorts of stuff coming out with saxophone and full band kind of production that was kind of the weird 80s country that was still popular, and stuff that was still more like outlaw country, like Waylon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like everything else. There's a broad world of country music. And I think what I've noticed, like myself and a lot of other artists coming out, there's like a little bit of this split where people are doing stuff that's a little more traditional, like what they grew up on.
Yeah.
And then there's another split that's a little more pop, like stuff that's, experimental and coming out. And so there's a place for all of it, because you'll see fans that like they're like, oh, I love Sam Hunt, and then like, oh, I love Jason Isbell. Like there's the two very opposite ends of country music, and there's fans across all of it. Yeah. So it's an interesting world. It's cool. There's a lot of kind of openness to it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's one of the great things about being in Nashville is this is the city where it all happens. I mean, our pastor at Emmanuel years ago, when he was doing, I think, his PhD studies in Scotland, Saturday night, turn on the radio, Grand Ole Opry, like all across the world, basically all across the world. And that was coming out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like this is the epicenter for that genre of music.
And I think too, with country, even stuff that like on the popular side, it's still just songs about life and whatever form of life you're in. Like if you're a kind of teenage kid out drinking at bars and hitting on girls, like there's songs for you. If you're like going through a divorce, there's songs for you. If you're like having a kid and your life's great, there's songs for you. And I think the story of it, the life lessons, just the easy kind of speaking way that country music does. It appeals to a lot of people, and a lot of people who aren't necessarily like full on hardcore country fans still love a lot of country stuff.
Yeah, you're right about that. Internationally too. I mean, there's people around the world that love country music.
It speaks to people. And I think it's a similar thing to like what I was saying about like Brad's lyrics and stuff. Just speaks to people,
right?
And sticks around because people identify with it.
Yep. Is that an issue for the other band members, Three Doors, when you're out kind of doing your own music, or are those guys all doing it too, and it's just what people do, and it's no big deal as long as it doesn't detract from the band?
Yeah, I'm very conscious of keeping them separate, especially like when I'm around everybody. It's like Three Doors World. It's a professional thing to me. I'm not like, oh, hey guys, guess what I'm doing?
Sure.
Keep it very professional, and everybody's always been cool with it. Everybody, Greg writes his own stuff. Brad just put out a song on his own.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think everybody. It's very common. Yeah, it's common. I think sometimes you'll run into some stuff with the main folks that have a little different ego than the rest of the guys, and I think in a different situation it would be something if I was with somebody that was a total asshole or something. Right. You could see him being like, "Hey man, like I'm the star of the show. Quit getting out there doing stuff."
Yes.
Just never happens with this band. I think everybody's got their own stuff. Nobody's trying to hold anybody back. I think like you'd have to like really actively be trying to stop somebody from doing some shit for your own personal reasons to tell them not to go make music.
Yeah, because it doesn't detract from the Three Door stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, why?
I think too, like it's a separate genre completely. So I'm not out like trying to go front an active rock band.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just me playing guitar and singing my songs, and it's country.
Yes,
and I think that kind of helps keep that separation as well.
Sure,
but I do have like our fans that I've earned through my career and Three Doors love what I'm putting out. By the grace of God, they love it. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fans carry over from that, which is really cool. Huge blessing.
Which is fascinating because they're just completely separate types of music. Yeah. But you established a fan base in one that's now they're coming because it's you that's doing these other songs, right? Yeah. And it happens to be country, but they're okay with that because they're after your music.
Yeah, and like I said at the very beginning of this conversation, like just the best fans I've ever seen it attached to a group. So they're very supportive of what I'm doing on my own, and then also with the band. So
yeah,
it's cool.
Do people notice you on the street ever?
It's happened a couple times.
Okay. Now, obviously, if the whole band was together and would walk through Nashville, that's a different story entirely. But when
somebody
guys
might recognize us, I don't know. They might just think we're here like on bachelor getaway going to Broadway or something.
Yeah.
The band's been like, if you tell people, I'm in Three Doors Down, like, oh shit, I know all your songs, but like I sat at a restaurant for an hour and they'd never. Really
I mean, heck, I worked out alongside you for a while. I never knew you were bass player for Three Doors Down.
We're oddly very humble people. So
I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Walk around wearing it on my sleeve or anything.
Yeah. We're so no tours now because of COVID.
Yeah.
Any light on the horizon there, or is just like this is just shut down until things start to get under control?
On the large scale, yes. We just moved it. We were supposed to be doing our 20th anniversary tour this summer, and we moved all that to next year.
Okay.
And on the small scale, like my stuff, like I can go play bars and everything. So places that are open, I've been out kind of kicking around playing shows, different places and states that are open. So I get out because I can just throw my stuff in the truck and go play.
Yep. But the Three Doors playing in stadiums and concerts, that's not, you have something scheduled for next year, but there's nothing in between unless COVID all of a sudden just gets better or something.
Yeah. Nothing on the books now. It's too much stuff to safely move.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like just the logistics of having the people that we travel with, it's too much.
Yep.
And again, it's one of those things too, like you go play a big show and you get a lot of heat for it negatively because the people have really like jumped on board with everything. So
you get a lot of heat for it because like you guys shouldn't be together.
We haven't done anything yet. So, but there's other groups and stuff that have gone out and done things I've heard of here and there, and it's looked upon negatively.
Yes, so, I've heard the same.
Yeah, kind of is what it is. Yeah. Like I said, it's easy for me to get out and go play, 50 to 100 people.
Yeah.
At a safely secured area.
Yep.
Which has been good.
But that's only recent that's opened up again, right?
Yeah.
At least in Nashville.
Started this month, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
In Nashville, people have been doing a little bit more. Because some of the bars have opened up, so like writers' rounds and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But it's still, 50% capacity and keeping everybody distanced and all that kind of stuff.
Those writers' rounds, man, are awesome. I mean, those are like some of my favorite.
Love doing them.
Musical, like, I guess, air quotes, concerts or whatever to be at. I mean, it's just the intimacy there. And I also feel like hearing the songs directly from the songwriter, like there's a magic there that's just, and these guys and gals are such great storytellers, and I mean, they're just so impressive. So like those songwriter rounds, those are just, I think that's some of the best things out there you can get in music.
My favorite thing that we do in town, it's called Tin Pan South. And
it's
just every night it's writers rounds all over the city for a whole week, and it's people on my level that are still trying to make a name for themselves writing, and then you got guys that are like, I wrote this for George Strait back in 81. You're like, holy shit, like that was a massive song that like everybody knows, and here's the guy that sat down one day and was like, I got this idea and wrote it. Mm-hmm. So you see that all over the city. It's my favorite thing that we do in town.
Yeah, but is that off this year?
I think it's off this year.
Okay.
They might be trying to do some version of it. It's usually in April.
Okay.
So it may be fine by then. But who knows?
We were at an event one time where it was at the Bluebird over Tin Pan South, and just exceptional. Exceptional. And that's the other cool thing about Nashville is you have this history. Like you're sitting in the Bluebird where so many people have come through that have really made it a really big level. Mm-hmm. And that happened right there in that room, Yeah.
That was always my draw to the city, was like all this history and like we'd come over and for whatever reason be here and go to a lot of writers' rounds and go to a lot of random events of like different things that my friends who were living here at the time knew what were going on. I'd just be like, wow, like I want to be a part of this. Like I want to be up there singing. I want to be part of the history that's going on here.
Yeah. And did you always knew you would be?
I knew I wanted to be.
Okay.
I didn't know if it was like, I'm going to be up there someday doing that.
Right.
But I had the drive and I had the work ethic to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Sacred West Trading Co.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
So, a couple months ago, I guess when everything really shut down, had a lot of time on my hands, obviously, and still do. And it's something I'd kind of been throwing around for a while, trying to figure out how to do it. But it's an apparel company. Bunch of designs that myself and one of my best friends, Darren, same guy I was talking about that worked with the management company, all that stuff for years. Me and him grew up together in Asheville.
Oh, okay.
He moved here, I guess, 15 years ago now. But he's like my brother. But he's really good with computer programming stuff, and he's good with design too. And started doing a couple designs. There's a lot of kind of Wild West stuff that I like always attached to. And it's like let's try to make a apparel company or something out of it. There's a lot of different ways you can do it nowadays with like drop ship and all this stuff where you don't have to have 500 t-shirts packed up in the garage ready to go.
Exactly.
And we started looking into it and we're like, this might actually be a viable thing to do right now since like music is pretty much done. So started designing. He started building the web store. Started getting stuff together, and we were like showing our friends and family, like, "Hey, check this design out!" And they're like, "It's really cool."
Mm-hmm.
So we just kept running with it. Kept finding random stuff that we could do with it. Like we got some coffee on there. I've been collecting in my travels, like native Southwest jewelry for a long time. A lot of turquoise stuff that fit with the brand too. And I was like, got so much of it. And I was like, let's put that up there too.
Okay.
And have that aspect of it. And yeah, like I said, did leather work for a long time. I have a bunch of connections with that stuff. So we did a lot of, like, we got wallets on there and different stuff.
I saw that. Yeah. It's really cool, man. I mean, you guys did a great job with that brand.
That's
so
one of the wallets
you made this right here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sacred West Trading Co. Is this the Sacred West Trading Co. logo, the eagle, or no? Is that just
that's one of them. That's one of them. That's one of the designs.
That's a design that happens to be on this leather wallet. Dude, that is impressive. But I love the Wild West, the frontier, the free spirit, the desert, the eagle, like the sand, like that whole scene. I love that. And so the Sacred West Trading Co., like, just going through your Instagram, which I think is just Sacred West Trading Co. on Instagram, right? The people search it, they can find your page.
Yeah.
I mean, your stuff is really cool. I mean, your t-shirts, the design's really great. I mean, I thought it was exceptional, man.
Thank you.
So people can buy this stuff online right now?
Yeah, we got a web store. It's ready to go.
Okay.
It's sacredwesttrading.com, and then you can find our Instagram, all that good stuff. And it's all integrated now, so you can go on and shop, like, directly off of Instagram.
Okay, yes.
The same thing on Facebook. If you see something on there, like, you click on it, you can go check out.
Yeah, it's crazy how that is.
It's pretty cool.
And so your buddy has all this, like, technical prowess to set all the back end stuff up?
Yeah, and he's really good with design stuff too, so we kind of double tackle design work, and he's really good with all the computer stuff, and he can sit there and program it, make the website look good, get the store stuff all figured out, and stuff that I have no idea how to do.
Right. Where'd you get the name Sacred West Trading Co.? It's a really great name.
Kind of just came to me. I was putting a lot of stuff together. I wanted it to be that kind of Wild West stuff. I grew up on Westerns, spent a ton of time out West. I love it.
Okay.
I love all the history and the symbolism of stuff out there. And just kind of kept putting things together and throwing things around. And a lot of times, like, when I come up with an idea for a song or something random like that, it gets stuck in my head for a very long time. And like, I'll be going to sleep and, like, thinking about it until I can't sleep.
Yep.
And that's how I kind of figure out that something's hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So especially, like, if it's a chorus for a song or something, I kind of treat that the same way. So if I've got an idea for something and I'm trying to go to bed and it's still just, like, running in my head nonstop, I'm like, all right, I'm on to something. Like, tell somebody else about it.
Yep.
And that's kind of what happened with that once I was designing stuff and putting things together.
Like, you had the name for a while?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it just kept, like, coming up in my head, and I checked to see if it was a thing or not. Like,
really?
Yeah, because nowadays it's easy to be like, sacredwest.com, like, what's that?
Yeah.
See if it's a thing, see if it's taken already.
Exactly.
Hopped on Instagram and nobody had anything even close, and I was like, all right. So I went ahead and got it, and when I ran it by Darren, he was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
We can do a lot with that. So
absolutely. What I think is genius about it is because it explains so much in the name, like sacred. So you're getting some vibes there. West, you're getting a lot of vibes there. And then trading, and like the Trading Co. thing, like, people sort of, when you say, like, a Trading Co., like, immediately that starts to trigger, like, certain, like, vibes in your mind. So, like, Sacred West Trading Co., I think it's genius, man.
Thank you.
For what you're selling, I think it's spot on.
Picture, like, the whole outpost stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was trying to convey with that. And I think
are you like doing, like, paid Facebook ads or anything like that, or Google ads?
We're starting, like, some here
before
before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
Going into this, like, kind of holiday season stuff.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it was like a soft launch by any means, but we're building into learning a lot of stuff, like, with different program things. So that's happening very soon. We're going to be throwing some money that we've been making off it into building even further.
So you've been selling some stuff?
Yeah, we've been getting.
I'm not surprised. It's great looking
steady
stuff,
sales,
man.
which is cool, and
it's very cool.
Yeah, I'm very happy the people are digging it.
Yeah, it's great. Sacred West Trading Co. Everyone can check it out.
Yeah, please do. We're constantly updating stuff and new designs and different things on there.
Yeah, it's really nice. Well, great, man. Anything else you want to get into here?
Yeah, starting today. Today's the 6th. Got pre-sales for my next single, coming out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
I'll have all the stuff posted up, but my next single
just today
comes
this
out.
happened.
Yeah, we're gonna be launching like all the links to go pre-save and pre-sale.
Okay. Yeah.
It'll be out November 20th.
Okay.
Really excited about this one.
Nice.
It turned out great. It was a song I've been playing live for over a year. It's called Wild Mustangs.
Okay.
Absolutely love how it turned out, and really,
title
really proud
sounds
of it.
great.
Yeah, very, very excited about it.
What's sort of the what's this like the storyline or the theme of the song?
It's kind of a young love and loss kind of deal.
Cool. Okay.
Kind of set to a desert backdrop. So,
oh man, Wild Mustangs.
Yeah, it worked out with a lot of stuff that came up in the future.
Okay.
Since I've written it.
And,
okay. Before I put the song out, I launched a fan club, which
okay.
I'd never had before, and it was actual like fans that are excited and pay for a membership and want behind the scenes stuff and different songs, and ended up naming the fan club the Wild Mustangs too. So like if you're a Justin Biltonen fan, the fan club's the Wild Mustangs. So the song's with that too.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff kind of randomly, organically came together with it.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
What is that? How does the fan club get, like a Facebook group, or like you use like a particular app for the music industry?
It's Patreon. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got a bunch of different tiers and different fans that like get more into it than others. And,
I see.
But it's fans that are excited about what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyone's listening that wants to check out your new single, this will come out in a week or two, which would be pretty close to the 20th probably. So
and
people can check that out.
Fan club's getting it early, which is cool. So it's another little perk of being in the fan club. But it'll be out everywhere on the 20th.
Sweet. Well, dude, thanks for coming by this afternoon, man. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. It's good to get to know you better. We worked out for a while together. We weren't there together every day, but when you mentioned what you did, like I've been wanting to have you on for some time because, back to the Three Doors. Look, those guys, man. Those are some of my favorite songs back in the day. It's surreal to be sitting across the table from the bass player. It's
surreal to be a part of it too.
Yeah, I'm sure. But then you've got your own talent. Yeah. You've got your own stuff going on, and is there like a artistic or kind of creative, because there's a common denominator here, like with performing with Three Doors, but then also your own music, but then also like Sacred West Trading Co. Like, what would you call that in you? Is that a creative side, an artistic side, a visionary side? What do you think that is?
Probably a good mix of all that.
Okay.
A lot of artistic side, like across the board in music and drawing and leather work and just different stuff that I've done. And I think I like a weirdly uneducated business entrepreneurial spirit.
Sure.
I think because I kind of conduct myself as everything's a business in some way, like especially with like the music and the art stuff. Like there's a business side to all of it, and a professionalism I think would be the better word for it, not business, but just kind of conducting myself in a professionally artistic way, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's put very well.
Some way to put it, I guess. In some aspect.
You playing any shows this weekend?
I'm playing up in Kentucky.
Oh wow! Tonight or tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Okay.
The buddy of mine, he's got a little country bar that he plays with all the time.
Cool.
His name's Dustin Collins. Playing with him.
Okay.
And then next week I'll be down at the Floribama in Florida.
Yeah.
Playing the Frank Brown Songwriter Fest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've got 5 shows during that.
Oh, very cool.
So that'll be cool.
The Floribama right on. You're talking about that big bar and grill on the line there? Yeah, we were just there this past year. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's one of my favorite places to be at, let alone play. It's incredible. I played the festival last year.
Oh, yeah?
And it's got that vibe. It's kind of that Nashville's home away from home for songwriters.
Yes.
And every room is signed floor to ceiling, and there's been some crazy songs written there and some insane songwriters that have played that place, and that was like their home away from home for a long time.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't
a lot of music
that.
history there.
Okay. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
We were just there on vacation right before COVID hit. Actually, they locked everything down the day before we left. So our last day was a little boring, but it could have been a lot worse. But I didn't know there was so much history there.
A ton of history there. And,
interesting.
it's cool to be able to like get up there and be a part of it. And so
yeah, absolutely.
Got to sign a little main stage area last year, and
sweet.
It's I'm excited that they asked me back. So
absolutely,
I've got 5 songs on there, and everybody that I played with last year, we're all good friends now. And
okay,
it's cool. It's a really cool. The vibe there is awesome. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that. And then after Thanksgiving, I'm working on a run down in Texas as long as everything stays open.
Okay,
so I'll be in like Dallas, Fort Worth, and then a little further south.
Okay,
a bunch of different places.
Hopefully, COVID's trending up right now.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Justin, man, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
This
was fun. A lot of fun.
Thank you.